You do look handsome. What's up, guys? Zaid here with the winner of our locals. First time on the channel.
What's up?
Introduce yourself, dude.
My name's Jeremy. I got first place today playing Swordsoul.
I love this deck.
Yeah, it's crazy. Only reason I played it was because it doesn't lose to Droll inherently, and I was like, well, I guess, and it worked out.
How many times you get drolled today?
Like, everybody would Droll me on like after my Shishao search for Blackout, which is like, oh, cool.
I already got my draw. I already got my search. I'm good.
No. Yeah. So anyway, I'll get right into it because so it's pretty a lot of the standard stuff. 3 Moye, 3 Longwon, 2 Taya. If you play 1, you're absolutely crazy. I do want to talk about this for a quick second.
Ooh, only 2.
Only 2 because the Tenyis themselves, I think, are so much better going second than this because they imply so much pressure. And if you play a higher Tenyi count, if you see Ashina plus any other Tenyi, that's just the same as seeing this. I'd understand 3, but also there's so many normal summons as well. With these, it feels a little cloggy to me.
It also kind of conflicts not being a worm.
Yeah, exactly.
You draw 2, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was playing 3, I was drawing 2 all the time. It's like, well, you know what I mean? And
if only this were a worm.
And it loses to Ash when you're normal. But, you know.
For a deck that normally doesn't lose to Ash,
exactly,
too.
Exactly. Only 2 at Hara. I don't think you need to play 3. 3 Vashuda, this card is crazy. This card is the best Tenyi, hands down. 3 Ashina, also very good. And then the 1 Shithana, because we do play Heavenly, just because even though like Veiler's out of the format right now, Imperm is still around, and Heavenly's also crazy because of its secret second effect that nobody respects. I had the final round, I had the guy be like, I did not know this was the second.
It like searches, right?
Yeah,
the
it's
secret
crazy.
Effect,
it's crazy.
It goes so hard.
I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll try to be quick here. 3 Ash, 3 Droll. These are the only hand traps. I would understand playing Imperm instead of Ash, or like Nib. It depends on your local scene. I like Ash a lot just because it's generic. Droll's the best hand trap. If you're not playing Droll, you're not playing the right cards in your deck. This stops everything. Every deck that this resolves against, you win the game. Except for this one, which is why you play Swordsoul, because it's the best deck.
Plays through Droll.
Yeah.
No one's playing Nib right now, right?
Exactly. No one's playing
So
Nib.
you get to draw 2 sometimes. If you make
exactly.
Holy.
So 2 Heavenly, 2 Vessel.
The 2-2 split.
This I'm a little uppity about. When it comes up, it's cool to do the Xiaofeng line where you can lock yourself out of Nib, but like you said, no one's playing Nib, so it's like, why bother? This is the best spell you play. It's not Emergence, it's this. Everybody knows that it dodges Imperm, but the 2 things people forget is 1, when you use Blackout, I'll flip them around real quick. When you use Blackout, its cost is the target. So you set both of these, you use Blackout, you see if they have a response. If they don't, you chain this. You get a search and a pop too.
That's nuts.
And yeah, and the best part is, when this is in the graveyard, the next turn you just use it to search a 10.
Yeah, so it's even more follow-up.
Yeah, this card is insane. Anybody that doesn't play it is, again, just wrong. Into the heavy going second cards. I played 6 books. I was kind of back and forth on this until I finally played it. You should play 6 books. It's just so good right now. And I'm big on cards going second. If they're not going to be hand traps, I want them to be cards that I can set face down and use. That's why I'm not a big fan of maining Dark Ruler, because I don't like having it as like a brick sometimes where it's like, oh, I'm going first, I drew 2 Dark Ruler. If I draw 2 books, I win games. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. I'd even consider Droplet at one point, but that's being a little too cheeky. 2 Desires. Sorry this one's fucked up, but you know, we ball. It's Desires, you know what I mean? I never get punished when I banish Desires. Literally never banish the Blackout. I just am that good at this game. We've got, and then 3 Emergence and 1 Blackout. You don't need to play like 2. Just don't banish it off Desires, obviously. And then the Emergence, it's a good searcher. Sometimes, like, I hold off on it because there's times where if I open Moye and, like, a long one, I'd rather, there's been a couple of hands where I've opened either Taya or Moye and long one plus, like, you know, the Tennies I need and a Desires. and I'd rather get the Desires draw 2 than just search for Fall. So that is the main deck. I believe it was 41. Do you want extra first?
Yeah.
So 3 Monk, you should play 3. It comes up a lot. There were a lot of times where I was in weird scenarios where I wanted to add back Ashina for Adhara, and so I'd have Monk on the board, and I'd want to add back a Tenyi, and so I'd just make another Monk. It's also nice with D barrier, just having it, because you commit so much to the board under D barrier because you play weird. You can end with like 1 or 2 Monks on the board if you have a bunch of Tenyis in your hand. So the third one definitely comes up. Shaman, the craziest card. Another card no one talks about. I used this maybe 5 times today. It won me my game 1 in the final round. I was playing and we were in a grind, and I needed a way. He was playing Rickus on Avalon, and ironically enough, my Baron was gone, and I had no way to Shisha. All I had was like an Adhara, or all I had was a Monk on the board and like a Heavenly Circle in my graveyard. This is what was crazy about it. And so I banish this, add the Adhara, and then I go special the Adhara, then I go make a Monk, then banish the Adhara, and then make this, discard what I add back off Adhara, and then bring back a Shishao, use Shishao's effect to negate the, I think it's Dryas is the link one, and attack for game.
Holy.
So this card's crazy. This card is slept on. No one uses this card properly, in my opinion. The one Yazi, honestly, people always play this card, and like I get it, but in reality, never comes up.
Really?
Never comes up. When people were messing around with their Strudo, it came up, but there's so many ways now, especially because I play so many books, to play around the fact that you get impermed and stuff like that, and it's just, it never comes up, but I don't want to be caught without it because it is a good card to have. Speaking of, debatably, sorry about the mixed rarities. At one point I was only playing 1 of this. I was wrong. This card is crazy. I've used its effect multiple times to get back into the game by just making this with, like, if I draw a Taya and I want to get that additional draw off Moye, making this, clearing their board, and then using this, targeting itself to summon back the Moye. It's a really good card. And then, actually, I'll save those for 2. The Bread and Butter, this card's crazy. I mean, it's just the best card in the deck, probably. Like, it searches you, it's a negate. I've even seen it in Punk. They didn't have a Swordsoul to banish in the graveyard, which was weird, so it was just a body, but I respect it. Draco Berserker, I actually don't make this guy that much. I don't have issues clearing boards as much now that I play all these books, because usually you can book all the issues, and then you go Baron, and then you pop, and then you go Baxia and clear their board, and usually you're cool in there. But he comes up. There's weird scenarios where you're going second and your opponent, and you side out Blackout. Sometimes I did that, and your opponent doesn't have enough to really do anything, and you want to end on a good board because you can't kill him. Like, let's say you have Dark Ruler in hand, so instead you just make this guy as a 3rd Synchro. And this card, love this card, never came up, but I swear to God it will. I played a regional a year ago with Swordsoul back in its peak, and I lost because of this card, but I will not cut it. This should be Dragite. It should be Dragite. It's a better card. Runic's not that big in the format right now, but it's just, this does nothing right now.
What deck needs to pick up steam for that card to be good? Is that not good against Cash or something?
I mean, it's good against Cash, and I forget who did it, but I forget who talked about it. Like, when you have a Kaiju, you can make a Kaiju and swing over with this, but it leaves you on so little resources that if, like...
Because you're not cheese out searching.
Because this is... because you have to use this going second. So, especially against decks like Cash, you have to use all your resources usually to break the board, and then you're left with just like a Crimson Blader and a top deck. So, Xiaofeng, this card came up a lot in testing, actually. I really like it when I can make it. The other thing I really like is when I have this set up with Blackout, because I can Blackout, Tribute it, and search Ash or Ecclesia. That's one of the only times I like it. Didn't really come up today. I would not cut it even if I cut the vessel. I think it's well worth playing. There's weird scenarios where like there's decks that just like auto lose to this. Like if you ever run into Drytron or like ABC, I know that's picking up.
That happens at like regionals.
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
And
Like this is just an FTK. Now for the 10s. I only play the traditional 10s. Don't do anything else. You don't need anything else. You make Baron most of the time now just because you don't want to play in the nib, but if you set up the Xiaofeng, you get a cool little line where you draw 2 and get the Xishao search with this guy. And this guy is really good at killing. I underestimated this guy until today. I made this guy so much to kill, especially with Desires. Like, Desires was my, like, access code for me. Like, that's just all I did. Sorry, I talked a lot about the extra deck. I just love this.
The extra deck's sick. This deck is crazy. I love Swordsoul.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
It's a tried and true.
Yeah. The side deck, I was a little iffy about 2 Kaiju. I just didn't want to get caught without it.
And they work with your Crimson Blade.
Yeah, exactly, the combo. I just didn't want to get caught without it. You know, there's weird Adignister. My boy Russ plays Adignister, so... 3 Dark Ruler, because we have, for some reason, like multiple Sprite Pearly players here, which gets on my nerves, and Manadium players, but it's also just a good card. You don't want to get... I played a weird ratio for going for back row. So I played 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Harpies, and 2 Evenly. I actually really liked this. I honestly would consider cutting Storm for a 3rd Evenly, though. But Evenly is really good into decks like Rika and into decks that can't end with just like a generic Omni Negate. It's really good into things like Vanquish Soul as well if they don't have many hand traps and stuff like that. And it's really good into Rogue. I would definitely consider Evenly. I know people were cutting it, but I would definitely consider it. Last card never came up because I swear this card's good. I have never resolved this. This has been in my side deck for like a month, and I swear this card's crazy, but I have yet to resolve it. In theory, it's nuts. You just in draw phase activate it, and it targets the material, so it wipes the material and then gets rid of it, and it's no longer unaffected. At a regional, I'd honestly, like at a local scene, I wouldn't play this, but at a regional I would, just because I'd expect a lot more Pearly, because this is targeted specifically for Pearly and Cash. So if your locals have a lot of Pearly and Cash, I would consider it, but at a local scene, I would consider making this something else. And the best card in the game, 3 Anti-Spell. This card, unironically, only won me 1 match today, but I refuse, and it's weird because you're not really afraid of Dark Ruler, but there's so many power spells right now in the game. I got like a 1 of Thrust dropped on me today by my boy Russell. The Rika deck, I was playing against a Scareclaw and they have a lot of generic stuff, and this is just so good at just shutting that down. Swordsoul is basically a control deck when you think about it. People that say it's like a combo deck are lying to themselves. It's like a mid-rangey control deck. It's like Sky Strikers, but like cooler. That's a bad example, but so this card is kind of brings the deck all together. So that was it. 5 rounds, 5-0. Really happy with the deck. Shout out my boy Zaid. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Of course. Shout out myself, obviously.
The GOAT.
I'm him, apparently.
You've got the crown now.
Yeah, and shout out Russell for always testing with me.
Shout out Russell.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Of course.